this is the big aha moment. So what I'm asking you to do only takes a little bit of effort. You're just going to hammer home and you're going to nail this goal. You're basically reinventing your self-image, just like an actor. But if you don't do it, guess what? Your mind will automatically do it for you. And then what happens? Well, let's say someone called you a name, someone called you fat, maybe you saw your friends fail, maybe you saw somebody else fail on TV, maybe you struggled yourself, maybe your parents told you that people in our neighbourhood don't make it, only people in that neighbourhood make it, maybe your friends got jealous when you were successful. So what happened in that? A goal was created for you. Not so much a goal, but an expectation of all that negative stuff to actually happen. So your blueprint isn't the confidence, isn't the goal setting. Your blueprint is basically all that negative stuff, the failure, and it becomes a self-fulfilled prophecy. So your mind becomes a blueprint made up of all the crap and the negativity that's soaked in around you. So you might say, I don't want to do that imagery, don't want to do that. Well, it doesn't matter, because your mind is creating its own blueprint based on your environment. Unless you take that mental responsibility and you create your own blueprint. Okay, so basically, who's making the blueprint of your mind? Because your actions, what you think, what you do, the results of your life are a result of what that blueprint essentially makes you do. So, if you're going to make it yourself, you take responsibility. One way, close your eyes, relax, and then look at the left-hand side. Go inside the theatre of your mind. Picture role models. Picture your sports coach. Picture someone doing the perfect technique. Someone doing the thing that you want to do, and them doing it well. And picture all the details in your head. Then move over to past memories. When you made the sale, when you were happy and confident, when you got the perfect technique, when you scored that goal, and relay the memories in your head, and then allow your brain to actually, or the blueprint, to actually improve on those with better techniques. Then we go into the theatre of the mind with you at your best now. Imagine you doing it the best. And you repeat this daily, several times a day, and especially before you go into the situation. Because how you act, how you think, what you're going to do will be a result of the blueprint. So we're deliberately building up the blueprint. Now compare that to the other way. Let the world build up your blueprint for you. In other words, soak up your surroundings. Whatever's going on, that becomes your surrounding. Now I watched a soap opera, well, only 5 minutes of it, in my nan's last night. And it was like, by the end of it, I was convinced all your friends, never trust your friends. All men are liars, all women are cheats. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong. Now it's all doom and gloom. And that becomes your blueprint, and that becomes how you act and behave. Role models or just the people closest to you. So if you're not building it, the people closest to you are. Your past memories, well, your past becomes your future. If you failed and failed and failed and failed in the past, you struggled in the past, well, that's what's going to happen right now, and that's what's going to happen definitely in the future. And then the expectation, based on all these things, just basically matches the above. And that's how you're then going to go out and live and basically go about your day in your life. But all of that on the right-hand side is happening on autopilot, which is why we absolutely need to go to the left-hand side and start creating a new blueprint ourselves. So if your blueprint is set basically to create failure, every time you go to do something, you'll start to do it, but maybe you want to go to the gym, and then you sit down. I'll go to the gym, just have this cup of coffee. That's a delaying tactic. And then you sit down, oh yeah, but I'm tired now. And your brain will make you procrastinate, and it'll stop you from going out and doing your goal. Because your blueprint is set to failure, and your mind must honour the blueprint which is set to failure. It'll change your perception, it'll change your ideals, and it will change your actions. Or because it wants to steer you towards the blueprint, to steer you towards that self-image which is set to failure or set to not good enough. Okay, so in my life, for example, everything had at one point a 3-month timestamp on it. Oh, it's evil to earn money. People in our neighbourhood don't make it. Oh, it'll never happen to you. Oh, why should you get it? That kind of thing. So what happens is, someone like me is very analytical and insanely like obsessive or like determined when it comes to doing something. So you go all in, you get great results, and as soon as I acknowledge that success, it would be as if I was cursed. And the entire thing would just go boom, will come crumbling down. My behaviour would completely change, my thoughts and my ideals would change. All because you've got a blueprint built up in your head which is set for failure or not good enough. And eventually it creates a balance, so you'll fight it and fight it and fight it, but the blueprint wins every time. And eventually you're only happy when you're unhappy, because your blueprint's set to unhappy. You're only happy when you're just sort of floating by, because your blueprint is set to be just floating. Well, in a relationship situation, as soon as you've acknowledged this is the best thing ever, you're the most happy you've ever been, like in your entire life, that exact same day, an entire behaviour changed. And I'll show you how the servo mechanism then kicks in and kicks in your blueprint. Instantly, it had to kick off self-sabotage. So I turned incredibly selfish, yet my brain was convinced I was a hero. I'd completely switched off from the relationship, and yet my brain was convinced I was some sort of Romeo. I'd had another event not so long later, had about £40,000 worth of sales. All they needed, but they weren't in cash form, they were only in paper, they just needed a phone call to get an authorization code, essentially. But guess what happens? As soon as I've acknowledged that, oh, I've got success, this is working for me, guess what happens? That blueprint kicks in and starts going to work. I stopped going out. I was literally unable to go out and get sales. If I did, I'd be looking at the floor, I'd mess it up. I just had the big pile of deals that needed to call up, didn't do it. I procrastinated like hell. I'd do any other task instead. I even called up the deals and then actually lost them on the phone, even though they were already a done deal, because of basically the self-sabotage. And then gradually managed to fight back, started doing it, but then the industry crashed and I lost them all. So again, that's when the servo mechanism comes back, and it will always, your life will reflect that blueprint. It will reflect that self-image. As Bob Proctor or Maxwell Maltz said, imagine a thermostat set to 75 degrees. What happens? Open the window, all the cold comes in, so the thermostat will blast out 90 in order to bring the temperature and balance back to 75. Equally, if all the heat comes in and the temperature goes up to 85, the thermostat will blast out 60 in order to bring the timer back down again. So, with that in mind, as you've gone through life right now, you do have a blueprint, you do have a self-image, and every single thing in your life is a reflection of that. The way you see a situation, the way you behave, the way everything works, even the results. Like I said, I mean, you can go on, this is a crazy in-depth topic. So right now, you have two choices. Carry on letting the world and your friends and other people shape that blueprint for you, and be quite happy that that blueprint then goes and just creates whatever random life it's put together. Or you can create your new blueprint. You don't need to do all the crazy woo stuff. Nice and simple, do the sports psychology technique. Just pretend you're the athlete of your goal. You're the athlete of bringing your kids up. You're the athlete of your career. You're the athlete of the sales calls. You're the athlete of going to a party. So before every situation, say if you're going to a coffee shop and you pull up outside Costa, spend a minute or two in the car, picture yourself being confident and walking into that shop. If you can't do that, picture James Bond in a movie walking into the shop. Just before you go to the gym and in between your sets, imagine yourself lifting your personal best and imagine how great it feels. Just before you go into the workplace, visualise 1, 2, 3 minutes, perfect performance and work. Before your sales call, do the same. And just keep doing that throughout the day until you've built up a new self-image. You basically, because the other flip side is, even though because your mind is the goal-serving mechanism, as things start to go wrong, even though that blueprint's built, there's also a preferred version which gets built. It's that solution-orientated part of your mind. So what we're going to do, we've got a blueprint that we acknowledge that we probably don't want. So we acknowledge that, but we understand the process, and we acknowledge through our life experience that we've got this blueprint, the solution. And as we start to think what that solution is and envision that best part of ourselves, we can come into contact with that solution. And gradually, that's how your life will become. So drop a link in the comments. First video I've ever done, been meaning to do it for about 8 years, I think. So drop a thing in the comments, hit the subscribe, and we'll see what comes out over the next videos.